Yes.
Mayor.
At this time, I'll call our meeting to order. We appreciate everyone in attendance this evening. We are live streaming it also. At this time, I'd like to invite Pastor Michael Mathis from Mission Field Ministries to come to give us our invocation. We appreciate everything you do for Town of Hope Mills. And followed by that will be our Pledge of Allegiance. All will please rise.
O Lord, our God, thank you for who you are, and thank you for your sovereignty. O Lord, we have come now because you are life. Therefore, we live today, and we thank you for that. We are so humbled by your abundant grace and your mercy that you continue to show and shed upon all of mankind. We're grateful, God, even when we don't show it. We thank you. We are so thankful also, God, for your involvement into the affairs of man, even as we come together so many times. The board here in Hope Mills coming together to try and see what it is that you're saying that the people here in Hope Mills and Cumberland County would have a good life. And so we thank you for your involvement. We thank you also, God, for your mercy, which compels us to understand that you are holy, oh God, and it's not in a form of fashion that we come and we utter words like this, but we come, God, realizing that you are our creator, and we ask you, Lord, once again to forgive us individually and collectively for anything. It's not a thing of if we've done anything wrong, but God, forgive us for what we have done wrong, God, and help us, Lord, to always understand that we are so frail in our best state. We ask you also, Lord, to continue to wrap your loving arms around the leadership, the mayor and her family, the entire council board and their families. We thank you, and you are grateful for them, for you tell us to pray for those that are in leadership over us, and I do not have a problem with that. We thank you for them, God, and we ask that you'll continue to shield them and enlighten them with your wisdom in their own unique ways, in how you have so uniquely made all of us. We are especially always grateful for our first responders, Lord, in a time like this where they are, even the good are seen as being bad. But Lord God, you, even in the Old Testament, you had the ministry of law enforcement. And we thank you, God, and we ask you to keep your warring angels encamped all around them, the firemen, the law enforcement, the medics, everyone, God, that so willingly put their lives in harm's way for the people. We thank you for them. And now, God, we thank you for the wisdom that men have, but God, we call on you tonight to impart to all on the board a fresh anointing of your wisdom to see things the way you see it and not the way we would see it. And so we thank you for hearing our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, I have 2 items to add to our agenda. The first item would be under new business, and it's item E, and that would be discussion of the 4th of July fireworks requested by Mayor Pro Tem McCray. And then under new business also, item F, consideration of authorizing a contract for hiring a new town manager. Are there any other additions or deletions to our agenda that's before you?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Have a
And
motion.
along with the additions.
With the
Sorry.
addition, have a motion to approve the additions with the agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. First thing we have on the agenda is a proclamation. Whereas the National Day of Prayer was created in 1952 by a joint resolution of Congress and signed into law by President Harry S. Truman, in 1988 the law was unanimously amended, designating the first Thursday of May as a day of national prayer. Whereas the National Day of Prayer has great significance for us as a nation and enables us to recall the ways in which our founding fathers sought the wisdom of God when faced with critical decisions. Whereas the National Day of Prayer has become a national annual observance which belongs to all Americans, as a day that transcends different cultures and brings together all citizens from all backgrounds. Whereas our hope is that individuals, churches, and spiritual leaders in America will humble ourselves and unify in prevailing prayer for the next great move of God in America. Whereas the theme of the 2021 National Day of Prayer is Lord, pour out your love, life, and liberty, based upon 2 Corinthians 3:17. Now the Lord is the Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Now therefore I, Jackie Warner, Mayor of Hope Mills, hereby proclaim May 6, 2021 as the National Day of Prayer, and urge all citizens to observe this day by joining members of all faiths and creeds and seeking divine guidance for ourselves, our leaders, and our country. And we will be hosting a National Day of Prayer at the gazebo at noon on Thursday, and our Pastors Coalition is providing the pastors for that, and it is a community-wide, non-denominational event. And again, that's Thursday at noon. Next proclamation is proclamation of the 52nd Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among the public servants. Whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels. Whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. Whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. Whereas professional municipal clerk continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is the most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of professional municipal clerk. Now, therefore, I, Jackie Warner, Mayor of the Town of Hope Mills, do recognize the week of May 2nd through May 8th as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerks and to all professional municipal clerks for their vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. This will be our week to celebrate Jane Starling and Tiffany Shadak. So we look forward to giving them an opportunity to be praised, but we also know that without them, I don't know what we would do. They're great women to work with. Next proclamation of National Police Week. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy signed a proclamation which designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which that date falls as Police Week. Currently, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from around the world participate in events which honor those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice. Whereas the members of the law enforcement agencies of North Carolina play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedom of the citizens of the state. Whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of law enforcement officers and agencies. Whereas the citizens of Hope Mills recognize and appreciate the contributions made by law enforcement officers at all levels of government. Now, therefore, I, Jackie Warner, Mayor of the Town of Hope Mills, call upon all citizens to observe the week of May 9th through 15th as National Police Week in Hope Mills, North Carolina. Thank you. Next, this evening, we're very fortunate that we have with us Dr. Anthony Wade, Director of the Fayetteville Criminal and Human Relations Department, and he is going to talk with us and give us information on the community forum that we're going to be having at Mission Fields Ministries on June 5th. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Wade.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Board of Commissioners. It is an honor to be here with you. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Fayetteville Cumberland Human Relations Commission. And I'm joined this evening by my esteemed colleague, Ms. Yamil Nazar, who is the Human Relations Manager for the department. We both serve as staff liaisons to the 18-member board known as the Human Relations Commission, which is made up of members of the city. We have appointments, 11 appointments by the city. We have 4 appointments by the county. We have 2 appointments by Fort Bragg and 1 appointment by Pope Army Airfield. So we actually have Air Force and Army representation on the board. And again, we are so humbled to be here with you, and we're humbled for this collaboration, and we thank you for the opportunity to do so. I think I'll start off first by talking about when I first got here. When I first got here back in 2016, I was privileged to meet a great police chief. His name was Harold Medlock, and Harold was, to everyone, they saw him as Chief Medlock, but behind closed doors, he said, I'll call you Anthony if you'll call me Harold, and that was our relationship. And so one of the pieces of wisdom I got in the short period of time that we had a chance to work together was Chief Medlock's comment that he said, Anthony, never forget, you should always take advantage of a crisis going on somewhere else to take the opportunity to talk about it at home so that we prevent it from happening in our community. And we're very blessed that we have the peaceful community that we have here in Hope Mills as well as in Cumberland County. It's a community whose quality of life is high, and we can't ever rest on our laurels. We always have to make sure that we continue to work to ensure that the quality of life in our communities is second to none. And with that in mind, back in 2018, we being the commission, along with our partners in the Fayetteville Police Department, the Fayetteville Fire Department, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Department, and Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church, we on FTCC, Fayetteville Technical Community College, we embarked on a series of sessions which were based around the movie The Hate U Give. And The Hate U Give is actually a great movie, family movie about a young woman who lives in 2 worlds. She lives in a world where her blackness is on stage, it's prominent, it's who she is. And then she attends school at a exclusive Ivy League prep school, which is predominantly white. And so she lives between 2 worlds. And she witnesses the fatal shooting of a friend of hers by a police officer who happens to be white. And in that movie, you can see that while it's an accident, and it's a clear accident, what happens is the community reacts to it based on some of the same dynamics that we see being played out across our communities. And what happens is it gives us an opportunity, looking at the film's themes, to talk about these topics in a safe environment, the topics of family, the topics of youth, the topics of police-community relations, race relations, and human relations. And in that environment, we have residents, business leaders, public safety professionals who all came together to, over months, to have these types of great discussions. And so as such, it's always received pretty rave reviews. And one of the individuals that attended our session out at FTCC, one of the sessions, was the Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. McCray. And you never know when the seed is planted, but last year, given the events of last year and all the things that were going on across the country, Mayor Pro Tem, I had an opportunity to talk with Mayor Warner, and they asked if we could come out with the commission and talk about a collaboration to have those types of discussions in the safe environment here in your community. And of course, then COVID reared its ugly head, and we did not have a chance to do it because we had to look out for the safety of our residents. And so This year, after the governor relaxed the restrictions, Mayor Pro Tem reached out to me again. We had one meeting in 2020, and so we came back together in 2021 in a safe environment again at the Great Mission Field Ministries Church. And again, I thank Pastor Mathis for allowing us to be in this edifice. And we concluded our planning, and as a result, now we're looking forward to a session on June the 5th here at Mission Field Ministries, and it's going to be a great occasion, a facilitated environment. It's going to be an all-day event, and I won't get too much into the mechanics of it because that is something that Mrs. R will do for us. I do want to take an opportunity to thank the incredible partners who are the ones who actually are making this happen. And that would be the Hope Mills Police Department, along with our longtime partners, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office, and Sheriff Wright and his folks have always supported these types of efforts. Certainly Mission Field Ministries, Rock Springs Church, the Hope Mills Prime Movers, Cumberland County Veterans Council, and of course the Human Relations Commission and the Town of Hope Mills. And at this particular time, I'll step away and ask Mrs. R to come and talk about exactly how the model works.
Good evening. I also want to echo Dr. Wade's appreciation for Madam Mayor and Madam Mayor Pro Tem for bringing this initiative to Hope Mills. It's actually one of my favorites of all the initiatives that we do, because I think it actually builds true relationships and trust between our law enforcement officers and our community. So the way the day goes is in the morning, we have breakfast for them. Right after breakfast, we start a discussion about what the day is going to look like. Part of that is talking about how we are going to discuss the events of the film as it relates to our current community efforts. So after they watch the movie, we have a short discussion, a brief discussion about the movie in the entire group. And after that, we give them 2 to 3 questions that they have to have conversation with. And they have to choose someone who looks the most opposite of them. And that's who they have to have lunch with. And then they have the dialogue around these 3 questions. After lunch, we split them up into small groups. Because at this event, we're going to have 3 groups of 15, and each of those will have a professional facilitator with a guide as to how to take the discussion somewhat deeper. The groups are divided almost equal as to residents and law enforcement. So each group will have a number of law enforcement depending on how many the chief and the sheriff give us. And then obviously the rest will be community members. And they have a dialogue around how this film shows up in our daily lives around the world and how to better create relationships, positive relationships between law enforcement and our communities. After the small group discussions, that lasts about 90 minutes. After the 90 minutes, the group comes back together as a whole, and each group will have a certain amount of time to report out. So what was your discussion like in your group? And they will self-identify who their report out will be. It won't be the facilitator, it will actually be a participant, usually a community member. Thank you.
Thank you.
So once again, it's a model that's, been well received at this. We've actually had our model, our session mirrored in other communities, most recent being the city of Greensboro. The North Carolina State Human Relations Commission, which is made up of a bipartisan group of gubernatorial appointees, they have adopted the model and they want to utilize it for community engagement across the state of North Carolina. And I would say probably one of the one of the highlights for me is the invitation to have spoken on this 2 years ago to the students at Williams College in Massachusetts. And Williams College is the #1 liberal arts college in the nation according to U.S. News and World Report, and they wanted to have this model brought for an in-depth discussion in their classes. And so we found success locally, we found success statewide, and even across the country in higher ed, people look at this model and say, this is one that in a safe environment, people can have those types of conversations that allow us to open the door, that allow us to understand one another better. Interestingly enough, when were we at Fort Bragg? Week before last? Yes. 2 weeks ago, a different session, the same dialogue, we were invited by Major General Chris Donahue, who is Commanding General of the 82nd Airborne, to spend time with him and his executive level staff in a discussion about the issues that we talk about in the film. And so there were over 100 people in the convention center there, Iron Mike Convention Center, to include a couple of generals, like a whole bunch of colonels and some sergeant majors. And we got into a really, really healthy, interactive, and vibrant dialogue about what it takes to ensure that people, to paraphrase Dr. King, that people are allowed to demonstrate their ability to succeed, their ability to be treated equally based on their merits and not on the color of their skin. And it was just an incredible dialogue to have with that particular group, and they already put us on the schedule for next year according to the 82nd Airborne's Chief of Staff. So we, but that's next year. This year, we're looking forward to being with the great town of Hope Mills, and we are humbled and honored to collaborate with you on this initiative. And subject to your questions, that concludes my remarks.
Anyone have questions?
It's an excellent initiative, it truly is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We're looking forward to it, and June 5th, at Pastor
Looking forward
Mathis's
to it as
church.
well. I mean, and once again, thanks to all of you. And again, I want to take the opportunity to thank again Pastor Mathis, who when we started talking about this last year, he volunteered his church. It's a great edifice. It has all the space that's required to do this in a safe, responsible way that allows the appropriate type of social distancing, and it allows the room to have that facilitated dialogue. So once again, my thanks to Pastor Mathis as well as all of our partners. We look forward to being back in your great town on June the 5th.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Mr. Drew Holland, and on your desk you have your information, and our interim town manager, Mr. Bill Zell, will give us information about his recommended budget.
Madam Mayor, Madam Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, to my staff, and to the citizens of Hope Mills. Tonight I am presenting the fiscal year 2021-2022 budget message. Now, before I get started on the message, I have to thank Drew and all of the department heads for a fantastic job of putting this budget together. This budget did not come together easily. There were a lot of tough choices that had to be made, but they were made. We have a group of department heads here that love what they do it very well, and they do it very well together. And it was my pleasure working with this great group of individuals. As the budget, the fiscal year 2021-22 budget was balanced at $14.3 million. On the revenue side, our three largest revenues are the ad valorem tax, and then two state shared revenues, sales tax and the franchise utility tax. We're estimating that these three will generate approximately 71% of that $14.3 million. The ad valorem tax, we're estimating that it will generate approximately $5.1 million, and that's based on a total valuation of the town at $1.1 billion. and that's at a 98.94% collection rate. We're also recommending that the tax rate remain at the 46 cents per $100 of property value, and 1 penny of tax will generate approximately $125,000. We're also recommending that the Parks and Rec tax remain at the 5 cents per $100 of property value, and we're estimating that that will generate approximately $625,000. We are recommending an appropriation of $598,600 from unreserved and undesignated fund balance, and that will be towards one-time capital items. Moving on to the expenditure side of the budget, the capital items that have been appropriated are listed in each department's request for your review in the capital outlay section of each departmental budget. And this is something that we will go over at the budget work session more thoroughly. Employee benefits that are included in the budget are health insurance, and this only increased 2.5% this year, which is fantastic. All the other ancillary coverages, vision, dental, accidental death, life insurance, 401k at 5%, state retirement, and longevity are all included. We are recommending a 1.5% COLA this year, but it won't be distributed until January. Unfortunately, we're unable to recommend any new positions in this budget. We're estimating $1.3 million in solid waste fees, and this is based on the new rate of $20.90 per month. That's up from $20.30. And the way it breaks out is the garbage fee is $10.90, the recycling fee is $6.80, and the yard waste is $3.20. Also, all debt service requirements have been appropriated in this budget to meet our debt obligations. In the PAL bill fund, we're estimating that the state distributions will come in around $415,000, and that's based on prior year distributions. There are no appropriation of fund balance and no capital items. All debt service requirements have been appropriated to cover any debt requirements. We're estimating that the stormwater tax will generate approximately $764,000, and that is based on the county's residential and commercial parcel information. We have not appropriated any funds from the stormwater fund balance, and we have included $288,000 for a new street sweeper in capital outlay. All debt service requirements have been appropriated in this budget to cover our debt obligations. In conclusion, I'd like to reiterate, Drew and the department heads were instrumental in the development of this document. I commend them for their hard work in submitting requests that control cost while providing service levels expected by you, the town board, the management team, and the citizens of Hope Mills. Now I'm going to turn it over to Drew to explain your budget books.
All right, just to tell you a little bit about the book you have in front of you. If you've gotten these before, it's essentially in the same order as we previously had. The very front section before you get to the tabs is the actual budget itself. You've got a copy of the budget message, you've got the general fund, the PAL bill, stormwater funds, then you've got the breakdown of all the capital outlay individually by the department, the salary and position list, and then the fee schedule. Any changes in the fee schedule is highlighted in red, so you should be able to see that. And then each of the tabs, as you can see, are pretty much all the departments. Tab 1 is revenues, tab 2 is debt, and then you start tab 3 and on is each individual department, all of their requests and justifications for their requests. So if you have any questions about the book itself, you can let me know. And I guess now they need to decide about scheduling a budget workshop date.
Mayor, what dates do we have that this workshop would have to be conducted on?
Did you have a recommended date? Mr. Holland, did you have a recommended date that you were looking at?
At y'all's,
It's any date that you're available.
yeah.
Okay, is there,
Do we want a special session for that, or just put it with one of the June meetings?
would have to put it with the May meeting, the May 17th meeting, if we're gonna put it with a meeting.
And Madam Mayor,
Right
that's,
up to
that's,
June.
that's the one I'm looking at, May 17th.
So have it prior to that meeting?
Yeah, have it prior to that meeting.
How would that work? May
What meeting?
17th, that's Monday, May 17th. That would be our next regular board meeting.
The only thing, and I don't know how, you just have to realize, we have all the way to the end of June to make the final decision.
Mhm.
So you need to take as much time as you need to figure out if this budget is what you want then going forward. So if you're talking about meeting before a meeting, you're talking an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a budget, so, I mean, you need to think about that. Can you make that decision in an hour and a half? If not, then maybe we need to meet some other days. Maybe some days where that's all we discuss.
Madam Mayor, last year, we met for 2 hours prior to regular meeting, and we got through it pretty well. So I just recommend we start at 5, and
Yeah, May 17th.
May
5 o'clock.
17th, and if we don't get through it before the meeting, then we adjourn and pick it up later.
And then we could schedule, at another day. Okay,
I will
So-
make that motion that we meet May 17th at 5 PM to conduct work on the budget workshop.
okay.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Will that work for all the board members, the 5 to 7? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. All right, our budget workshop then will be at 5 PM on May 7th. And as be-
17th.
17th, sorry. And as before, I know that and without having said this, but if there's questions or whatever, you can email Mr. Holland or Mr. Zell, because I know that, some of the questions could be answered ahead of time. So,
Well, it gives us time to get the answers.
right, so it makes sure, yeah.
Save time.
Right, anything that you find that you have questions about or anything that you need more information on, get that to them so that then what we'll have is those answers at the meeting. All righty then. All right, next thing on our agenda is public comments, and we don't have any this evening. On our consent agenda, is there anything you'd like moved from our consent agenda, or do I have a motion to approve our consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, to have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. The next item is under new business, and that's consideration and acceptance of the petition for annexation of Deaver Circle Apartments Phase 3 and resolution number 2021-10, directing the clerk to investigate the sufficiency of the annexation petition. This will be annexation number A 2021-01 and is a contiguous annexation. Any questions about this?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the streets in the area. And
Yes,
I know
sir.
this is behind the streets, but who would really want to build or buy a house on that street?
Mr. McLaughlin, would you like to speak to this?
Or Don? He's the one.
This is basically to just set the public hearing as it relates to annexations. What we're based on, what we have to agree to review, that's more than likely an issue that the developer will have to face in terms of the ability to sell the homes. What we're ultimately contemplating here is whether or not this is a development that should or shouldn't be annexed into the town. This is phase 3 of the existing Diva Circle apartments, condos. So it's essentially the same model of homes that are built on Summer Drive and things of that nature. We are aware of the issue on Diva Circle, but what's before us with this particular case is just consideration of the annexation of the land. If there are some concerns, I will just note that denying the annexation does not stop the project. It just basically stops our ability to have jurisdiction over it. So I think we're fully aware of the issues, but this is basically being presented in a way that doesn't give us the opportunity to resolve those issues.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'll go ahead and make the motion
Okay.
to approve resolution number R2021-10 Deaver Circle Apartments Phase 3, directing the town clerk to investigate.
Okay, have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. The next item is consideration of approval to send a request for initial zoning to Cumberland County. This is related to annexation A 2021-01.
And this is simply just the initial zoning aspect. If you're aware, when we do annex in a piece of property, after the official approval of the annexation by the board, it becomes unzoned 60 days after that if you don't have it initially zoned. So this request is just to go ahead and send the request to the county to start the process. It does take 2 months. It has to go to planning board before it comes back to us. The request for R6 initial zoning is the same classification of the zoning of the existing Diva Circle. So what we're basically doing is just initially zoning to the same classification. But one thing to note is that the original was R6A, which allows for manufactured homes. So we're actually going to R6 because that still allows for the duplexes and condos, but it does not allow for manufactured homes. That's what we did for the condos off of Summer Drive.
Yeah, same footprint.
Yeah.
Without any questions, Mayor, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Consideration of request from staff to begin the process of initially zoning Deaver Circle Phase 3 to the R6 Single Family Residential District.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Next, we have a consideration of approval of Resolution 2021-11, fixing a public hearing date on May 17th, which is annexation A 2021-01, Deaver Circle Phase 3.
Madam Mayor, I'll go ahead and make that motion too. It'll be a 3 in a row.
All righty, we have a motion
Motion to approve resolution R2021-11.
have a
Fix.
motion to have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. Discussion and possible scheduling of neighborhood town hall meetings, and this was requested by Mayor Warner. I'll tell you what my ideas are. We've had several people that have, especially after our townwide yard sale and litter sweep and hazardous waste, had several people say they're not getting information and that they're not finding out stuff because we have no, a lot of them don't have internet. A lot of them don't see our marquees, especially during this COVID time. So since we're opening back up and we can do something in a smaller state or a smaller venue, my thought would be if we did something, we did this years ago, and that would be to go to the elementary schools and host it for that district, for that, like across the street, Rockfish Elementary would be just for the families there. And they would bring to us their concerns, their whatever they need to talk about. And we pretty much don't react other than we listen. There might be some questions we can give answers to. And then we would bring those, whatever concerns, whatever they had back to the board, to the staff here at Town Hall. We could do one of those at C. Wayne Collier Elementary. We could do one at Baldwin Elementary, Rockfish Elementary, and we could cover most of the areas that are within Hope Mills. And we could just partner with the schools because they have great ways of informing their parents. They have ways that especially during this pandemic time. If we felt like we needed to go to the high school, then we could encourage maybe Southview High School to partner with us, and that would give us another venue for more of the people. But I just throw that out there because I've had several requests. Now that we can open things up, is there some way we can get more information to the community and ways that the community can share with us their concerns?
Mayor, I appreciate very much the idea that you have here. We need a way to reach out to the people. As you said, the yard sale deal, people didn't all know about it. Hopefully we'll find another way if we do this, that the residents of the town will be able to get the notices and be able to participate more. I think we just have to watch how we schedule them with baseball season open and all that. A lot of parents are at the ballpark 1 or 2, 3 nights a week. One lady I know is there 4 nights a week, so. But
Well,
I'll
and-
make a motion that we go along with this idea of the town hall meetings.
I'll second it. Okay. And what we'll do, if it's all right with the board, if it meets your approval, is we'll get the logistics down because we have to contact the schools to start with. And then we'll try to make it so that it'll work for everybody. We'll try to schedule it that way. But the first contact would have to be the schools to make sure the availability. And then probably have to even ask the superintendent to allow, but we can still wear the mask. We can still do this. I don't know of a town hall meeting that we've had more than 100 people that would show up, and especially if you're going to do them in the different locations. Hopefully if we get that many at each location, that would be wonderful. But we could work on that and try. We know we've got the budget workshop through this month, so maybe look at maybe even when we do planning, we have to make sure that the schools are going to be open because of graduation schools. Some of them are going to be closed. But I guess all those logistics we have to work out. So is there
Madam
any
Mayor,
other
Excuse me,
discussion?
I'm sorry. Let me remind the board that we do have a couple of softball and baseball tournaments coming in late June, mid to late June. Those are usually run like a Thursday through a Monday. Marco can probably tell us more of those dates, so we don't want to schedule to conflict
Okay.
with that.
I'll get with Ms. Starling, and we'll look at the town calendar, and then we'll contact the schools and find out what the schools could work out, and then we'll try to work it out so that it's convenient for the board. We have a motion, we have a second, or?
I have a comment, though.
Okay, yes, sir.
The only question I have, Mayor, is that last sentence, and I'm just going to ask, what type of misinformation is being shared?
It's not misinformation, they're not getting information.
Okay.
When we had the yard sale, we thought we had done a good job. It was on the marquee, it was on the website. We did all the Parks and Rec did social media. The first they found out about the yard sale was when they got that postcard on the Monday before. And I hate to put you on the spot, Mr. Morrison, but didn't you find that we had a lot of comments about they would have participated because if they had known? And then when you ask them, well, didn't you see it on the website? Didn't you see it? Well, the main thing was they don't have internet, or they weren't checking the website. They didn't know to check the website. And then because of COVID, I guess the fact was they didn't check the marquees either. But the comments I got were the fact, even the shred event,
Right.
they would have come if they'd have known. So
that's-
it's not misinformation, it's just not getting the information.
I know, that's, when
Yeah.
I read that, it was like, what misinformation did we put on our town website, or?
We just,
I
it's
mean,
not.
that's
yeah.
what concerned me, was
Yeah.
like,
And
did
that's
we?
great. And then along with
Yeah.
you're talking about doing, we've talked about having an open house at Parks and Recreation.
Oh, yeah.
And then just go over all of the programs and opportunities there also. So yeah, that's what we've heard too. I
Yeah.
heard at my Parks and Recreation board that a lot of people just weren't getting information. as good as a job that we think we're doing,
Yeah.
you know, we just gotta do a couple more other things to get the word
Yeah.
out about our events and things.
I heard the same thing on Marco. I mean, the entire day, I heard the same thing. All of us that were a part of any of
Yeah.
these events, we heard the same thing. It
And-
was a
and-
home run event.
Yeah.
They just, more folks wish they'd known about it in advance.
Well, and the event we had yesterday down at the lake, we had a good turnout for an event at the lake. This, I think, Mr. Mitchell counted, the most was 125, so maybe about 105 that were there. But the thing about it was, that one was because the churches that were involved told their congregations that this was going on.
Yeah.
But the actual notice that we had on social media, that wasn't seen by many others. So I guess the idea is just got to be, we've got to, if nothing else, direct people how to find out information, and then use the best sources they can come up with as ideas. And maybe that these meetings could be to give them information what's coming up for the next, like you said, might be a good idea to center it on Parks and Rec or center it on events, because that seems to be what's the most concerning, is that they don't find out about events.
Well, Marco, Madam Mayor, I'd like to see us do quarterly open house events at Parks and Rec.
We can work it out. I did the same. We had those in Greenville.
Yep.
And it's something that my two directors and assistant directors and I, we've talked about, you know, different ways. There's also some publications that we're gonna, you know, look at doing, and also getting the mailer out to people, using the, you know, the Public Works trash pickup, using those addresses to kind of get information out about
Yeah.
all of our events. So there's a couple things we're looking at doing, get information out.
Okay, thank you.
I might as well stay because the 4th of July is coming up. So.
Okay, was there, we have a motion, a second, and we'll work out logistics, and we'll get with calendars, especially for the schools, and then work out the actual agenda for the meeting. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. The next is discussion of the 4th of July fireworks, and Dr. McCray requested this.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. But I was asked, early last week, the governor came back and there was some talk of relaxing all of the COVID restrictions as far as how many people can be in inside and outside gatherings, as of June 1. And so we were asked, or I was asked, if we would reconsider at least the fireworks for the 4th of July. And I did ask Mr. Morrison, would that allow the park to be able to be open? Because that was one of the issues that we had, was that people would not be able to come into the park. And so they would, the homeowners in this surrounding area and the businesses would have the burden of that. And we as a board was not comfortable with that. And we were also, it was suggested by our attorney as well, that as a municipality at that time, we not go against the governor's orders to open up an event that will probably draw thousands of people. So I believe as a board, I still am firm in what I said, but if I did ask, it's up to the board, if we would consider the fireworks. So I guess if you could talk to the board and maybe explain any logistics or anything of that nature.
Well, so as far as all of the other events, you know, the entertainment, the bands, etc., those contracts have already been moved to Old Mill Day. So there's nothing we can do to bring any of that stuff back. However, I did ask staff with special events to talk to our pyrotechnic company to see if they can still do it, and they can. So if it's your wish to do the fireworks, we still have that capability. The only thing I would caution and maybe talk to fire and rescue. You know, some of the officers and the workers have taken off thinking that we, you know, cancel fireworks. So we have to have that discussion. But as far as the fireworks and opening the park, we do have the capability of making it happen if that's what the board wants.
Yes.
Can we ask the attorney if that would be if we open the park, the fireworks, we won't be in violation of anything?
Well, I'm looking at the most recent order now. As far as I can tell, and I have not read the entire thing front to back, but as far as I can tell, mass gatherings for outdoors are still limited to 200 people. So if we anticipate having more than 200 people there, arguably
Yes, ma'am.
Based on what the attorney just said, I think we should just leave it as it is.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
we don't know what the governor's his orders are gonna be like in the next 2 months. I know that the people are ready to get back, but we gotta make sure we don't get back too soon. That would be a big blow to the back of the head if we get back too soon. I agree with Miss Edwards that this might be too soon. And Mayor Pro Tem, I appreciate you bringing this forward, because I too have been asked about it. I actually criticized it a little bit, but but I can take that. So it's up to the board.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just for discussion, I've been asked by a lot of people, and a lot of people in the town want the fireworks at least. I would be in favor of it. I know I made the motion at the last meeting to cancel it, and I made the comment it was all or nothing. But based on what the citizens are wanting, you know, if we could find a way to do it, stay within the governor's orders, and is there another decision that's going to be made around the 1st of June? Am I
Well,
correct?
that's what I thought, that depending on the metrics, the 1st of June, the governor may just open, it may not be any restrictions inside or outside. But I guess I don't know if we can make the decision, and then if they roll back the restrictions, we can still change our mind. I mean, we would have to.
Right. I need to talk to Megan, but I think the fireworks is such that it's easy to turn it off than to try to turn it back on. So I guess if we wanted to wait till around the June 1st date when he's giving another update, you know, we could. What we're hearing from the pyrotechnic companies, they need to know as soon as possible.
So
They haven't
we need
given us
to-
a date, but they need to know as soon as possible whether they're gonna do it or whether they're not. You know, they're gonna move it to Old Mill Days.
I would be in favor of it. I'm addressing the rest of the board here. I mean, I would be in favor of the fireworks if we can do it safely, and, you know, because
Just have the park closed? In other words, you see them
I
from
have
where
no
where you see them from wherever you can?
I'm just,
That's the thing is,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
my position is unchanged as it was 2 weeks ago. And we knew then that the governor's office was going to relax a lot of the restrictions on June 1st. I asked the board to wait on that decision, but it was a now or nothing, and you had to have a decision tonight. I'm going to ask the board to wait again. I do. I really do. The community wants a safe fireworks display. But like you said, Lamarco, it's tough to, when you say no, then other things happen. People have different plans. I think we're premature until we see what the governor's order for June 1st is. But that's my thought. It was 2 weeks ago. I stand on it then. I stand on the same theory tonight. We wait.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So, Lamar, what you're saying, if I heard you right, was you need to be able to tell them, yes, we're going to do fireworks, but you're saying it's easier to cancel it later on
Then
if we
try to come
decide,
back and say we're
than to
gonna
try
do
to
it.
come back at a later date and say,
Because-
yes, we want fireworks, because they could have rescheduled with
Right,
somebody
and,
else.
and for example, a lot of the entertainment, you know, the circus entertainers, etc., they've already got other contracts, so they can't come back now because, you know, when we canceled those events, you know, they got other work.
Well, if that's the case, Madam Mayor, I'll make the motion, we go forward with it. Because that was 2 weeks ago. We knew that the amenities were gone. We knew that all that was out. No matter how this was going to come out after June, those contracts and decisions have to be made early. So if that's the decision you're looking for, I'm good with it. Because when it gets past June 1st, if the governor's order doesn't satisfy it, we can cancel it. But at least, we're saying yes until we see what happens on June 1st.
Madam Mayor.
Would you do it on the 3rd or the 4th?
The third.
The
Still the
3rd.
third because still Sunday would be a conflict with people and worship services and things of that nature. So we're still planning.
People's okay with the 3rd.
Lamar, can I just ask a clarification? In order to confirm them for the third, we need to enter a contract with them?
We already have a contract.
Mhm.
But similar to last year, we canceled the contract because of COVID. And so this is actually a continuation of the contract we had last year. We didn't do Old Mill Days, which we had rescheduled for the pyrotechnic company to do the fireworks then, and then had to reschedule. So this is actually a continuation from last year's 4th of July, then last year's Old Mill Days. So same contract, same contracts in play.
Yeah, it's budgeted. It's a budgeted contract.
And just to clarify, so the board has all the information, if we say that we want to go forward on the third and then cancel sometime in June, would we owe any damages on the contract?
No.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
What was that question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
What was that question again, Dan?
If we told them that we want to go forward and then cancel it shortly before, would we owe any, monetary damages or anything like that in the contract? I just wanted to make sure we had all the information on the table.
And it wouldn't be a cancellation, it'd be a rescheduling. Kind of
Yeah.
similar to a rainy day. Like there's a rainy
Just
day
like
clause
last
in the
year.
Contract, we reschedule.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
well, I'll make a motion that we go
I already made that
forward
motion.
for- Okay, well, I'll second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second that we schedule the fireworks for July 3rd and,
Tentatively.
Contingent to the governor's order June 1st.
right. Okay. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Any opposed? So it's 4-1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is consideration of authorizing a contract for hiring a new town manager. We had a special, or we had a meeting on Saturday, and it was for the purposes of interviewing and negotiating with a new town manager. And we are prepared tonight to hire a new town manager effective June 1st. The board at this time, I would ask that someone,
I'll make that motion.
okay, we
If
have
that's
a
what you
motion.
want. Yep.
And the gentleman's name is Scott Mazzaros. He is coming to us from Alaska. So we have a motion to authorize a contract with Mr. Scott Mazzaros, effective June 1st. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Madam Mayor, do we need to go into closed session?
No,
before
sir,
this?
because we did that Saturday.
Madam Mayor,
Because-
before we
yes,
voted, I
uh-huh.
wanted to make a couple comments and thank
Okay.
some folks about the process. When we started this process about 2 months ago, this board had a decision. We could either do it ourselves, or we can hire a consultant to do it and pay somebody to do it. This board decided we were going to do it ourselves. We asked the League of Municipalities to send a gentleman in to brief us on how to do it. And we saved the taxpayers $28,000 because that's about what the consultant contracts were to hire a town manager. And based on the input from the League of Municipalities and based on the expertise that we have right here in town, one of them is Tiffany, the other one is Jane, we decided to do it. We did the interviews, first and second, and we've got a first-class manager, in my opinion, and I think probably perhaps for the board, coming to this town on a process that we vested ourselves in. At night, and our last interview was pretty much all day Saturday until we reached a decision. But I want to thank our town staff because we couldn't have done it without them. And I want to thank the citizens for allowing us the opportunity to do it ourselves because we learned something also about the process. And sometimes you don't need to pay a consultant to do something when you work with smart people who are invested in it, passionate about it, care about it. Yeah, we had some discussions, don't get me wrong, we did. It was some back and forth. but the consensus at the end of the day, we got a very nice town manager and family that's moving here from Seward, Alaska. That'll be here on the 1st of June. And I just wanted the public to know that. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we have we have a motion and a second. Any other?
Clarify what the motion is, because as I've heard the motion being made, it sounds like the motion was to approve entering into a contract. We actually do have a contract written.
Is,
The contract itself needs to be approved by the board.
If you have the contract, you want me to read it into the motion?
You don't necessarily need to read it into the motion, but you do need to approve the contract as written.
I make the motion to approve the contract to hire a new town manager as written.
can I have a motion? Have a second. Any other discussion? And I appreciate the board's due diligence on this task, and also the fact that our town staff had input also in that they hosted the candidates on Friday, and they got to share what Hope Mill is like. And I think that was the most enlightening thing, is that oftentimes the town manager gets that when they come back after they've been hired. But in this case, they're very familiar with the town of Hope Mills, and so it makes me very proud the way the board carried
Madam
this
Mayor,
through. Yes, sir.
The interesting part of that, they were kind of split. So we had two final candidates that were very qualified to do what we, as the board and the staff, did. So
Yeah.
I as well learned something. I've been here a long time. It's the first time I ever done it that way.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Seeing none opposed. June 1st, we'll host something special for our new town manager.
He might be watching, who knows?
That's right.
I hope he is. I'm sure he is.
And Mr. Zell, you still stay comfortable. We're gonna keep you busy from now till then. At this time, we have, reports, items, manager's report. Do you have anything to add to the manager's report? Is it good like it is?
I have a couple comments.
Okay.
I will say I appreciate all the work that's been done on the chapel. It looks really good. I seen them out there this afternoon putting new glass in the front, over the doors. I think that's what they were doing. The paint looks good, and I appreciate y'all getting that taken care of. The other thing I had, just a question. I was reading your manager's report, and I know not too long ago at Big T's, with all the work going on at Big T's, I know we just renewed the contract not long ago with Big T's at the concession stand
Yeah.
there.
Like-
Is he able to operate out of there? Is he working out of there or doing anything right now?
As I know it, the staff made available a space out there. In fact, they moved signage around for them to bring their food truck in,
Okay,
but they have chosen not
okay.
to put their food truck there.
I had some people
So that
ask
was
me.
their choice, but with the construction and stuff, I doubt that they could use the
Yeah.
facility actually.
Two questions I had on that, because I had some people ask me what had happened to the snow cones and the,
Yeah.
you know, people that have been going and enjoying the lake. And I told them I thought it was due to the construction. But are they still paying rent to the town, even though they're not in operation right now?
I don't believe so.
I would have to find out.
I asked that question recently, and they're not.
Okay. Okay, that's all I was wondering. It just, whenever I got asked that question and I seen it on your report, it just clicked up some thoughts, so.
My understanding is this project will be finished prior to Memorial Day.
All right, thank you. That's all.
Anything else? All righty. Any other questions in reference to the town manager's report? Okay, the committee liaisons. Commissioner Edwards, you have anything from Appearance Commission or the Mid-Carolina Council?
Mid-Carolina Council will have their Zoom meeting. They do have it quarterly, and they'll have it next month. And I have asked Tina Yosef, who's chairman of the Appearance Commission. She's got some updates for us.
Good evening. At this moment, with the last meeting that we had, we are going to be working with the Public Works Department in regards to refurbishing the gazebo between Town Hall. We are also working on doing some ornaments with the 130th logo on there with the Appearance Commission. We normally do Christmas anyways, so we have Jamie, who is our liaison, doing mock-ups and everything to hand out about Christmas. And we are also working with a business that is downtown in regards to a community garden downtown. They are going to be, we will be there with it basically in name only to get the information out, but they are going to be spearheading everything with it. And we are also ramping back up with the Art of the Month. So hopefully we'll have one of those at the next meeting.
Mayor,
Yes.
I hate to keep talking, but
Your turn.
Speaking of Christmas, whose idea was it to put the Christmas tree beside the church on Main Street last
That
year,
was
where they put
Parks and
ornaments
Rec.
on it?
Parks and
Was
Rec
that
did.
Parks and Rec?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
That was a great idea. She said Christmas, it made me think about it, but that was a great idea what they
There were
did.
many
It was.
ideas about with Christmas, especially because of COVID, with Parks and Rec.
And those, we hope to keep those too, because those were good ideas.
Yeah.
It's a good tradition.
Yes, Megan came to us at Christmas time as we were going over ideas for that as well.
And y'all are doing a great job.
Madam Mayor. And I was gonna also say, in my report from the air quality stakeholders, they was talking about community gardens, and that is something that I really want to see in Hope Mills. So I am really glad that we're gonna have
And
a
it's part
community
of,
garden.
you know, and community outreach and stuff like that is actually part of our bylaws within the town. And we plan on sticking with a lot of stuff in those bylaws.
Thank you.
Man, Mayor, it seemed like Christmas just passed, but it'll be here before we know it.
Yep. And I don't know, May is and I shouldn't have written it down, but I'll get the information to you. I got a notice from Rebecca Freeman, who's is over the Senior Tar Heel, about May is the month of the, what? I don't want to say old people.
No, the senior.
Hold now. Hold it
It's
now.
not seniors, it's they gotta know.
She's just being nice. It's people like
The old people.
No, me too. But it's they call it the OAM, the month of OAM, and I didn't bring it with me. I got that email right before the meeting. Huh?
Yeah, we did a proclamation the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
The old people.
Okay. Well, we need, very good. Well, I don't remember even reading it, but we need to make sure, they've asked that we make sure that we put that on our website, or we put it so that people will know that the month of May, what the month of May is, because there's something that they're really pushing. But I'm older
Madam Mayor.
older Americans month. I
Madam
got it
Mayor,
now. Yes,
one
sir.
day you'll be among us.
I am there now. I am already there.
Confessionals.
Yes. Commissioner Jerry Legg, you have historic preservation, RULAC. Can you give us some
We have neither one
information?
of them to report on.
All righty.
Well, Madam Mayor, I
Yeah.
can report for him.
Okay.
I attended his meeting
Okay.
when I was humbled to do it on April 14th. Actually, the meeting kicked off with a tour of the Trade Street House, as we know it, the Period House, and that kicked off about 5:15 to a little after 6. And then the committee had the opportunity to look at the house, and some of the members of the committee had not been into the house before, so it was a good opportunity for them to learn what was in it, what the future was going to look like, and some ideas going forward. And Chancellor was there, Don was there, Bruce was there for the tour. Then the meeting continued up here at Parks and Rec, at 6, started at 6:10. They had a quorum, but they were missing 2 members. But they talked about the revision of their budget for the Period House. And I think they decided that they were looking at one room to start with inside the Period House, that would be their target. They did recommend about the ADA repairs, and we approved those in our last meeting. So the ADA repairs have been approved, and they'll probably be completed. And that will be the only outside repair will be done other than the inside. And there was a tremendous amount of research from the committee members, and that would be Teresa Davis and Sharon Reeves, about what a period house looked like at that time. They had a very nice presentation of what the rooms look like and the furniture look like in the period house. It was really great. And if the board hasn't looked at the presentation, I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of it, because it really is something to see. They talked about the painter's house next door that I guess is available. We call it the painter's house, but it's the one right next door that had a painting company in it. They talked about the design build of the bathrooms down at the chapel, and I see that is in the proposed budget for next year. They also looked at and talked at length about the completion of that period house, of how, like I said, they set up that room. They want to move from room to room to room, and they want to kind of plan that well in advance. And of course, that's going to be dependent on what funding we have available for next year. But to go back to what Commissioner Marley was saying about the chapel, it is a beautiful repair work that's being done there by the contractor. So we know we hired the right guy to do the right work on that chapel. We really did. They adjourned. There was some discussion about a committee member, but I believe that's been resolved by Sharon Reeves calling the committee member and having a conversation with him. And their next meeting is on May 12th at 6. And I was going to ask Commissioner Legg, if you're umpiring that night, I'll attend that one for you as well.
I don't have that schedule yet,
Okay.
Commissioner Bellflowers. But if I am, I'll get that to you.
Okay. And that's the report from the committee. And like I said, Mayor, I'm real humbled to be there.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Marley, Veterans Affairs.
Yes, ma'am. They did have a meeting at 6 p.m. on April 22nd. However, it was very brief, not a lot of discussion. I think most of the members of that committee were attending the chamber banquet that night, and they were headed that way, so not a lot of discussion.
Okay. Next, we have Mayor Pro Tem with Parks and Rec and Coleman County Air Quality stakeholders and prime movers.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll start with the prime movers first. There really is no update. We are having a meeting Thursday. We would like to thank everyone who participated in the blood drive on last Saturday. I think they got double the number of people that they originally wanted or needed. So we thank everybody that participated and helped with that event. And for the air quality stakeholders meeting, they are in the process of revamping the green business program. They stated that they're surprised to even see how many businesses don't have the recycle bins. Tesla is looking for charging partners as a way to increase awareness and get more EV charging stations installed in urban communities. And people can visit tesla.com for more information. I stated this in the last report. They are looking for ambassadors for the Air Quality Ambassadors Program. And lastly, it was what I was just telling Ms. Yacht said again. They informed the committee of plans to start a community garden and show how you can incorporate learning labs that will educate residents how to improve the air quality through gardening. And that committee meets quarterly, so we won't be meeting again until July, I believe. Parks and Recs, what I tried to do is I tried not to repeat the same thing that was in the report already that the manager gave. We do have a new committee chair, is Erin Mabe. We actually had about 3 new members, and they were a very active group, gave a lot of good suggestions. The digital marquee should be ready by late May to early June, and so hopefully that will help with some of the dissemination of information. Cardinal Landscaping will complete the lake beautification project with the installation of a rain garden adjacent to the dam. The proposed rain garden will help with the underground spring and water retention. And again, they had the question about advertising. How are the citizens supposed to know about a lot of the events that we were doing? And they actually talked about, I can't think of what the platform is that they use in Parks and Recs, where they could text people information. So you got to sign up for it, of course. But if you get people to sign up for it, you can actually text people when, registration from sports is going on. And so there was a discussion that maybe we can use that throughout town hall, where we can have a texting system where we can give important information to the citizens. And again, there is the FTCC partnership with the summer courses that are being offered here this summer, along with a number of other things. They have the May Craft kits, Elmo and Cookie Monster. They have preschool athletics. For the seniors, they have the fitness room is open, pickleball, open gym, and walk and talk. And they also have new 55 and older class for cardio drumming. And there is fall registration is going to open up on June 1st, and that will conclude July 31st, and that would include football, soccer, volleyball, cheerleading, and fall baseball. And they will be hosting a district tournament for softball and 8U baseball. I believe that was supposed to begin June 18th, Mr. Legg. I know you were wondering about the date before, but I believe that is supposed to be June 18th, and of course, Mr. Morrison shared his proposed budget that he was going to meet with Mr. Harlan later that week about, but he did share that budget with his committee, which I thought that was a good way of keeping them informed and being involved in the process. And that concludes my reports, Madam Mayor.
Okay. My chairman of my mayor's youth leadership is actually here tonight, Tristan. And I'm going to ask Tristan if he would mind coming to the microphone and just giving an update on where we are with our group. Tristan is not only the chairman of our group, but he has also taught me and Mr. McLaughlin a good bit about media and organizing meetings and all kinds of Google document stuff. We're going to hire him as our I-Tech person, I think. But anyway, Tristan, if you will, just give them an update on basically what you did this evening at our meeting.
Definitely. So we kind of reviewed our year in review plan that I had drafted up within the past month for our committee. And we talked about how we have started our website that we're going to be soon publishing. Also that we are officially published on the town hall website, thanks to Mrs. Darling. And also the rest of the town hall people that are working here. And also we talked about the various events that we had hosted throughout Hope Mills within the past year. We had the Adopt a Highway program in front of Southview High School. And now we officially are a Adopt a Highway program for that specific highway. And soon we will be having signs that will be getting posted along that highway as well. We also talked about how we will officially be a NC State Youth Council charter, hopefully within the next month. We're officially waiting for the advisory council to vote us in, but we've already submitted all the chapter application dues as well as the videos that we just submitted last night and published on YouTube for them to see. And we're just going to wait for them, and then after that we have much to do and a lot of work to do with the NC State Youth Council Association, and for years to come for this council to then work on with that NC State Youth Council Association as well. We also talked about how we also did the litter sweep along with, I believe the Prime Movers Committee was there as well, a bunch of the people in the constituents within Hope Mills and the rest of you county commissioners and the mayor. I also saw you there as well. And so yeah, we just kind of discussed how that was also very beneficial, and I had a lot of National Honor Society, Heat Club, a few student government people that came, and also a few JRTC students that came from the various high schools that attended that litter sweep. So that was actually very beneficial, not just for the community, but also for the students, for them to gain volunteer hours to help them later on in their college admissions process. So that was actually amazing for y'all to offer us. And then we also kind of discussed our social media engagement and how we officially started our Instagram, Facebook accounts, and how we've accumulated over 50 plus followers between Instagram and Facebook within the past few months alone. We've been officially published on a few websites, but we are trying to get official local websites for us to get published on. In NC Weekly, I believe, and also I'm trying to get certain news sources to start publishing Hope Mills Mary Youth Leadership Committee, but also this Hope Mills. I want to get a little bit more publishment regarding our committee and the things that we have done, and for the lot of events that we have in the future planned for our committee, which is a lot. But I'm not going to give away all of my tricks up my sleeve yet, but I just wanted to say that it's been an honor working on this committee, and I'm super excited for next year because now I have a lot of ideas that I've been holding, and I cannot wait to start over the summer and work. And now that we're an officially chartered council, I can now work at the state level and get grant funding that we can apply for, and then use that in our actual municipality and start benefiting our students far more than we could have in the past, but now we can. So I just want to thank you all for actually approving that and giving us this $50 as well, and approving also our charter application. And if it wasn't for you guys, we also wouldn't even be here tonight. So that's amazing, and I just want to thank each and every single one of you for what you're doing. And I also do watch you all on YouTube, just so you know. So people are watching. And have a wonderful night.
Thank you, sir.
Ma'am,
Yes.
sir, I would like to congratulate you on your memory. He didn't look at a note. He didn't look at a note all the time he stood there. I might need assistant. But thank you. Very fine job.
Yeah.
And they've done more. They also wrote the bylaws for the youth council. They've done a lot this year. And what I did this evening was invite them all back that aren't graduating, so that maybe next year we can learn their faces, because believe it or not, everything except the litter sweeps we've done by Zoom. All their committee work, everything they've done has been by Zoom. So that not only have they been very effective, but they've done it in the course of this time that they had to do alternate ways. So thank you. And I knew you could handle that even if I did surprise you with it. Next, we have FAMPO. We did have a FAMPO meeting last week, and it was by Zoom. The main thing that I brought away from that for us, of course, is they gave us a lot of information about updates on roads and things, but the main thing was our grant that we received for the sidewalk across the street. It is moving forward so that we can have to follow the STIP plan, and we have to get everything in order, paperwork, but we will be able probably to use those monies on the lake, sidewalk at the lake, and the lake along with a pedestrian grant. But we will find out for sure when that can take place in July, because it has to go through that process. But that's good news, because that'll take care of a big expense down at the lake, the walking trail at the lake. Also, Mayor Pro Tem and I, and this is an offshoot from our Tier 1 meeting. Tier 1's not included in my list, but we have a Tier 1 group, a Tier 1 committee that meets on a regular basis. We'll meet again this coming May 10th at 6 p.m. But the goal for us is to come up with opportunities for our community. Mayor Pro Tem and I met with Dr. Robertson at Southview High School along with Dr. Zorrells. And the purpose of this was to look at the possibility of the town and the high school and FTCC partnering to offer types of classes, because the FTCC actually has some grant money. If we can coordinate everything, it's not costing us anything, just some time that Mayor Pro Tem and I felt real strongly that this was important, because the kinds of classes they're looking at would be like plumbing, electrical, brick masonry, types of skills that the 18 to 24-year-old group could use and could get a job quickly. Also want to pull in some workforce development if we get all this approved, so that then that once they get their certificate from Federal Tech, then they can be hired by an employer that will train them in an apprenticeship, and the employer will be paid through workforce development funding for the first 6 months, so that the employer can, while on the job training is taking place, it's not costing them while they're being trained. But all this, we're in the weeds right now. We're getting it worked out, but Federal Tech is taking the lead, and then through Cumberland County Schools. But that important thing for Hope Mills is that this is to be designated for the youth and young adults and even older adults that might need a job, getting some skill sets that are a little different. We have a Tier 1 meeting coming up this next Monday night, and again, we're looking at some things for veterans now. I've not had a Fayetteville Cumberland Economic Development Municipal Advisory meeting at all. So that one is something we haven't done anything with. Our 130th birthday committee, of course, they sponsored the event yesterday, and they've got more events coming, and we meet this coming up Thursday. Mayor's Coalition is this Friday, and it'll be at 7:30 a.m. For breakfast. The board is invited. The reason I say 7:30 a.m. is because they like to start on time at 8 a.m., but so they serve breakfast prior to. So if you don't want to come at 7:30, come at 8 a.m. The agenda will try to get to you before Friday, so you can see what they're going to be talking about. But we've got a full meeting scheduled, and we did have the Hope Mills pedestrian, the sidewalk Zoom meeting last week, and that was beneficial. However, it was disappointing that we didn't have as many people as we had hoped would be there to give input. That takes care of all my responsibilities. Staff comments. Nothing. Official comments, anyone?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
for those folks that are watching us tonight, today I had another question about the two structures out there at the public safety facility. I would like everyone to know that those two structures are stairwells and they're not elevators that are out there. So people are watching and they're noticing the building of the building, and they're looking. They said, "Well, why we got two elevators?" I said, "Well, why do you think there are two elevators? They're not elevators if you look at the way that they're built. They're just stairwells." You know, I sat here and I looked at that screen, and I cannot think of a better time than now to have that movie screening, to have that community engagement, and to have open dialogue about an issue that affects not one person, not two people, but our great nation. And I'm glad that you left it, whoever left it up there, I'm glad it's been up there for the whole meeting. It's a message. It truly is. And I hope it's attended well. Thank you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Anyone else?
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
they may have gotten the idea from me that those were elevators. Kind of got thrown under the bus there a little bit. I know that the ADA requirement is an elevator. So I don't know which one's gonna be elevator and which one of them's not. So whichever one's gonna be the elevator, just eliminate it. The other two are stairwells. So that would clear that up. Jane, you and Tiffany, congratulations on this being your time. I can't express how much that you girls mean to this board, how much help you have been to us. And I think it's very important for the public to know how well this board are working together. It's been a little over a year now, and we work better every day as time goes on. So congratulations to my fellow board members and Madam Mayor. I guess that'll be about all for me, except, when Scott gets here, welcome Scott. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I like to say I cannot make it to the National Day of Prayer on Thursday, because of work, but, I will not be able to make that event. And, just to echo what Commissioner Bellflowers was saying about the movie screening, I hope that it is well attended, and being on some National League calls the past couple of months, thankfully they've been virtual, so that I've been able to pop in and attend some of the sessions, but the last one that we were in about a few weeks ago, one of the last things he said that, you know, as an elected official, one of the things you can do is start a conversation if you don't do anything else. And so I hope that will be an open door to actually start a conversation. So I'd just like to thank all of our partners for helping out with that. The Prime Movers are going to help with that event as well. And we've kind of adopted Tristan. Tristan helps us with some events and things as well. And so we appreciate you. We hope to kind of move the ones from the Mayor's Coalition into the Millennial Group if they stay around. So that's kind of the hope, and it's a great collaboration between lots of different generations. So that's all. And thank you, Jane and Tiffany. It's kind of late for Administrative Professional Thank You Day, but we appreciate you.
Anyone else?
One last thing.
Yes.
Happy Mother's Day to all you ladies in advance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Well said, yeah.
I had a note on that, but I didn't even read it.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate everyone coming this evening, and we also, a reminder again, National Day of Prayer, Thursday at noon. It'll be right out in the gazebo area, and we appreciate the staff helping us get these things set up and working with us. So now, do we have another motion? Motion to?
Mr. Legg? Commissioner Legg?
Don't we have to go in the back?
No.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There we go. Yeah.